So the idea of a more modest lifestyle in retirement may not be very appealing, but it may be necessary. Not all of us are able to retire on our terms, right? So one of the first things, number one, that we can look at is prioritize. So, you may like to get an $8 cup of coffee once in a while. It doesn't mean that that needs to be totally cut out forever for the rest of your life. You can still get that cup of coffee once in a while. I think you just need to prioritize, what can you do without, right? And just try to be a little more modest in the way you spend your money. Number two, I would say, is learn what you spend your money on. You may really be surprised at where you could cut back. The little things do matter. So, try it for a week or two. Try writing everything you spend down in a notebook, put it on a ledger on your phone, something like that, and try to recognize patterns and where you spend money and where you can just say, I cut back $20 a week, just not doing this, or maybe don't get that $8 cup of coffee every day, maybe get it every third day. Those are the things that are going to help you out in cutting costs. And number three is try to stay healthy. I was really surprised when I retired. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but after I retired and I went through a couple of illnesses, I figured out how much I was actually spending, going to the doctor on all these co-pays and different medications and things like that. When I was working, it was more like, hey, I got a doctor's appointment today. I can take half a day off. It was, that sort of thing. But you need to learn to be a little more healthy, exercise, eat healthier, and try to cut down some of those costs from just, health-related issues. And see if you can lower your insurance costs, right? Because sometimes all these bundle and save, they aren't always that great. I know that our insurance, between our house and our automobiles, here just a few months ago, we had to take a look at it. We were through one company and everything shot through the roof. Like $500 a month was the increase on all our insurances. And we said, we can't have that. So we talked to our insurance agent, who's an independent insurance agent, and she went out, and now we have policies with 3 different insurance companies, but it brought us right back down to where we were. Another thing you can do is take a look at your deductibles. Take a look at the last time you were in a car accident, the last time you had to, have a deductible taken out on your roof on your house or something like that. It may be worth it to go ahead and raise those deductibles up. Take a look at how much that's going to save you per month and figure out if it makes sense to raise those deductibles up and get a little lower, premium payment. And some things have just become completely overpriced, right? Tobacco products, for one. And the alternative to tobacco products, your nicotine gum, your vaping, things like that, those have gotten really expensive. And some of the things that you don't think much about, like when you go out to lunch and you order iced tea with your lunch. You know what? That iced tea, take a look at the ticket when you get done. I was surprised. It was like $4. $4 for a glass of tea. You know what? Sometimes just order the water. And a lot of places are still going to charge you for the water, but it's probably not going to be $4 for a glass of water. So take a look at some of these overpriced items. And if you happen to have good tap water where you live, you know what? Get a Yeti or something. Bring your own water, because have you taken a look at what it costs you to buy a bottle of water at a convenience store or something like that? You can go ahead and use your tap water sometimes, or buy your bottled water in bulk and take it with you. But these small things, sometimes they're getting to be so overpriced that just buying a couple of bottles of water could put you out $5-6. And over a week's time, that can pay off, just trying to save some of that money. Possibly go ahead and take on some of the smaller projects at home that you may have hired out in the past. You may have had somebody come in to do it. Now, you definitely want to make sure you keep it within your capabilities. Like, are you capable of painting your own walls? You might be. But are you capable of changing out an outlet in your house You may not be. Electrical can be very dangerous, and if you don't do it right, it can be a fire hazard. So some things you still probably want to hire out if they're not within your capabilities, but there are a few things that you may be able to tackle yourself. Try traveling during the off season. So when you plan your trips, don't plan your trips in the middle of summertime, or, if you're going to go skiing or something like that, don't plan it around Christmas time. Plan during the off seasons. You're retired now. So, you can delay things a month or something like that. But what that's going to do, you're going to save money on travel, you're going to save money on lodging, and you're not going to have such a hectic vacation because there's not going to be as many people around. And hopefully you'll enjoy it a little bit more. All right. And you always want to pay off your high interest debt, right? Normally that comes in the way of credit cards. So pay off your credit cards and don't go into that high interest debt. Now, a lot of us use our credit cards every month. One, we want to keep our credit rating up, and two, we get rewards points. And that's pretty smart. I know people who pay everything, who use a credit card to pay for everything. And that's pretty smart because you can get some pretty substantial rewards. But the trick is you got to pay that off at the end every month. You don't want to get to the point where you're paying on interest, because that high interest sometimes is going to be, upwards of 20% or even more than that. So pay off those credit cards, any high interest debt you have, and quit paying interest. Some things like your mortgage, if you're mortgaging your home, you're only paying 2-3% interest. Man, that's almost free money. So I wouldn't say you necessarily want to, accelerate paying off your mortgage if you have a low interest mortgage. But there are some things like credit cards, personal loans, things like that you do want to go ahead. You want to accelerate getting those paid off, and that'll help you cut some of those costs in paying on interest. Some other ways to cut a few bucks off your utility bills, right? Raise or lower your thermostat a little bit depending on what the season is. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to freeze yourself out or, sit there and cook. You'd be surprised how much just a couple of degrees difference can make in a monthly bill. The other thing is your water usage. It's kind of funny, but back in our day, we used to take bricks. You used to take a couple of bricks and put them in our toilet to help cut down the flush amount of water that we flush down the toilet. But you can go ahead and get some of these low flow toilets, things like that, and your lawn. Take a look at areas in your lawn and see if there are places that you could go ahead and cut back and maybe do a little different landscaping and cut down on the amount of water usage you have. We took a trip to Nevada here not too long ago, and I was really surprised. We went to Bullhead, Arizona. We went to that side of the river, and I was really surprised how many houses over there had just gravel yards. And I talked to a few people, and they said, we get in trouble if we have regular lawns, and they, helped us out financially with putting in, the gravel on our lawns. So, just cut back a little bit on your water usage if you can, change that thermostat a little bit, and that'll save you a few dollars here and there. This could be a big one. Now this one is your cell phone provider, right? If you're with one of the big four or big three or big four cell phone providers, you may be in one of these contracts where you're paying quite a bit for that cell phone. And a lot of that is because you're going ahead and buying your phone from that provider, and then they have, like the Next Up, or where you can get the latest, greatest phone, but you still they keep you on a payment plan, so you're pretty much locked into that all the time. So once you get your phone paid off, if you get it paid off, just don't get that latest and greatest one time and pay your phone off. And then you can look at some of these places like Mint Mobile and some others, Consumer Cellular, and I haven't tried any of them. I don't know how the service is, but you can take your phone with you, and you may be able to save, $100 or more a month just on your cell phone bill. Other places that you can take a look are streaming services, your Netflix, your Amazon Prime, Hulu, things like that. Do you need all three of them? Can you cut down some of those streaming services that you aren't using a lot of? That may be a way to go ahead and cut down on some of these bills as well. And this one really surprised me. I did not realize, so I got Sirius XM in 2 of my cars, and I have one of their little radios that I keep out in my shop building. And, you know, it got up to where it was about $65 a month. And I said, well, that's one of the places I can really cut back. So I went ahead and I called Sirius XM and I said, hey, I want to cancel, you know, these 2 in my vehicles. I want to keep the one in my shop, but I'm going to cancel the 2 in my vehicles. And they said, well, let me look at your account. And they typed it up and they said, well, would you like a discount? And I said, well, how much? And they quoted me, it was like $30 a month, and I got to keep everything that I wanted, or I could pay $30 a month for the one radio, but they had a promotion running. And I said, well, how long is the promotion? They said, well, it's about a year. I said, oh, okay, well, sign me up for that, and I'll keep it for another year. And they said, if you just call back once a year, we normally have a promotion and we can keep it down at that rate. And I thought, so I've been paying these higher rates all these years? So don't forget, you know, ask. It doesn't hurt anything to go ahead and ask these folks if they have a better deal for you. You know, use your AARP. You know, use AAA if you have it. And make sure you get all the little discounts that you have coming when you purchase things. So you know what? I hope this video's helped you, and if it has, reach down and hit that like button for me and watch this video next.